There are things you can't notice at first glance, especially when it comes to aging. Many people believe the final stage of life comes suddenly, over a day, a week, maybe in sleep. But the truth is different. The body almost never leaves without warning. It sends signals. Quiet ones. Subtle ones. But if you learn to recognize them, you can still make a difference. We at Elderly Counsel will share in this video 6 signs that often begin to appear 6 to 12 months before death. These signs may look like ordinary effects of aging, but they carry a very different meaning. The first sign is not easy to recognize right away. Changes in breathing and circulation are often mistaken for tiredness or blamed on bad weather. But if you listen closely, it becomes clearer. Breathing becomes shallow, uneven. The chest rises and falls more quickly, and even small movements can make someone short of breath. At rest, the breathing is soft, but there are pauses, as if each inhale needs effort. Sometimes, you might hear a faint wheeze in the evenings, a quiet rasp in the throat that wasn't there before. The person speaks slower, not because they're thinking longer, but because they pause to breathe. They may stop mid-sentence or choose shorter words. They breathe not just to speak, but to preserve energy. It becomes more difficult to lie flat. Sleeping on one pillow doesn't feel comfortable anymore. 2 pillows, or even sleeping propped upright, becomes the new normal. In a horizontal position, pressure seems to grow in the chest. It's not panic. It's not a dramatic gasp. It's just a slow, steady signal from the body. The engine isn't pumping as strongly as before. Fingers begin to feel cold. Lips turn pale. Sometimes, a bluish tinge appears at the fingertips or the ears. The hands feel weaker, legs heavier. The blood flows slower, and oxygen doesn't circulate like it used to. The heart still beats, but not with full strength. At first, it shows up in the smallest ways. They sit down halfway up the stairs. They stop going to the store. Then it's harder just to reach the kitchen. And they rarely complain. They just move less. They do less. Quietly. In these moments, trying to push someone to stay active doesn't help. This isn't laziness. This is conservation. The body is shifting into low gear. It's holding on to what's left. At night, the breathing may change again. Some people stop breathing for short moments, then sharply inhale. Others seem to pause for long stretches, still, quiet, and then breathe again, as if returning from far away. During the day, they may sit still for long periods, almost like they're resting inside themselves. A warm room, fresh air, and quiet make it easier. Sometimes a soft foot massage or a gently raised pillow helps. These aren't treatments, they're small gestures of comfort. Being there, without demanding. Helping the body do what it's already trying to do, hold on. The second sign is extreme fatigue and weakness in everyday life. It, too, arrives gradually. Not with pain, but with pauses. With the words, "not now," or "I'm just tired." Someone might sit down halfway through a simple task and stay there, unable to get back up for a while. They may postpone washing or dressing, not because they don't want to, but because it takes more strength than they have. Tiny actions become overwhelming. Lifting a cup feels heavy. Pulling on socks becomes difficult. Standing up from a chair becomes an ordeal. It's not that the body hurts, it's that it doesn't respond. It feels empty, disconnected. They used to set the table on their own. Now they only eat if the plate is placed directly in their hands. They may sit with a meal, untouched, just staring at it, knowing it's time to eat, but unable to start. It's not lack of appetite, it's exhaustion that goes beyond hunger. People around them may mistake this for disinterest, or even stubbornness. But what's really happening is a quiet reallocation of energy. The body redirects everything it has toward essentials: breathing, pulse, balance. There is no strength left for anything else. And this kind of tiredness doesn't go away with sleep. It's not something a nap can fix. Even after a full night of rest, it's still there, settled into the bones, part of every movement. The person doesn't expect it to improve. They just learn to do less. Speak less. Move more slowly, with more pauses between steps. And this is not a moment for rushing. Not a time for demands. What helps most is to slow down with them. Let the world come closer. Keep essential things within reach. Keep the space clear and calm. Let the path to the bathroom be short. Keep the light switch by the bed. Dress them in something soft and loose. If there's a chance to sit instead of stand, let them sit. If something can wait, let it wait. This kind of weakness isn't an illness to fix. It's a message, the body is shifting into another rhythm. And what it needs most is for no one to pull it back. The next sign is the loss of interest in food and drink. It doesn't arrive suddenly. At first, it's just a half-finished bowl of soup, a sandwich left untouched, or a cold cup of tea sitting on the tray. The person might say they're not hungry, that they've just eaten, even if it's been hours. Or that the taste is off, or the food isn't quite right. Later, they simply don't want anything at all. In the fridge, favorite foods remain untouched. Items that used to disappear quickly now stay. Meals that once brought comfort become unimportant. Sometimes even the smell of food creates discomfort. They don't ask what's for dinner. They don't request tea. It's not sadness. It's not frustration. It's as if the body no longer sends the signal, I need nourishment. The body stops demanding energy. It starts using what's already there. It slows down the engine, draws inward, conserves. The metabolism softens. And hunger fades, not because the stomach is full, but because there's no longer a need to refill the tank. The same happens with thirst. A glass of water placed nearby remains untouched. The lips are dry, the skin sensitive, but they don't notice. There's no craving. Not even for warm tea. They just don't feel it anymore. Sometimes, it becomes physically harder to eat. Chewing takes longer. Swallowing feels different. They chew slowly, hold the bite in their mouth, pause halfway through. It's not resistance, it's that the internal systems no longer insist. They simply maintain the basics: breath, stillness, presence. It helps to place something simple nearby, a small fruit slice, a spoon of soup, a bit of something sweet. No need to say, you must eat. No instructions. Just presence. If the hand reaches for the food, that alone is enough. Because in this state, it's not about feeding the body. It's about preserving the thread between the person and their being. The fourth, equally important sign is a change in perception, or simply, cognitive fog. It doesn't come crashing in. It drifts, slowly. First, things feel slightly off. Not visually, but mentally. The person starts getting days confused. Friday feels like Sunday. Winter is called spring. It's not a mistake. It's a loosening of the inner map. Conversations become shorter. Thoughts fade mid-sentence. There are longer pauses, as if the person is trying to find themselves in the moment. They talk about the past as if it's now. They ask about people who are no longer alive. They describe old places as if they were just there. They want to go home, but the home they mean hasn't existed in decades. A certain stillness slips into their words. And suddenly, you realize, they're listening, but not from here. Their focus has softened, like a fog. They seem near, but not fully inside the moment. As if they're looking through, not at. This fog can be unsettling for loved ones. Some fear it's dementia. Others think it's emotional withdrawal. But it's often a deeper shift. The mind slowly stops using the world structure as its reference. It no longer responds to outer logic, because it's begun to live by something else. Cognitive fog isn't always frightening. There's often calm in it. The person may be more silent, but also more at peace. They might sit for an hour, saying nothing, and still not seem distressed. There's no more urgency in their rhythm. They exist differently now. They might ask, "Where were you? Though you never left." Or, "When are we going home?" Even when they're already there. These aren't confusions. They're reflections of how blurred the boundary has become between now and then. The world no longer breaks into places and times. It moves by feeling. Where there's warmth, that's home. Where there's a familiar voice, that's morning. Some people in this state become anxious. They fear being alone. They ask for the light to stay on. They don't want the hand to let go. Others drift quietly into their inner space. They don't want talking. They don't want answers. They simply wait, not for something specific, but for a silence that feels complete. It's important not to argue or correct. Don't say, "That's not true," or "That was yesterday," or "You're mistaken." They aren't. They're not in your time. They're in their own. And if that space holds warmth and stillness, let them stay in it. Still, even within this fog, the mind responds to attention. It hears rhythm, smells, light. And sometimes, if you find the right thread, the fog softens. It helps when mornings begin the same way. A favorite cup. A quiet voice saying, "Good morning, it's light outside." The person may not remember the date, but they'll feel the structure. That's a quiet anchor. That's enough. Photos can help, not as memory, but as feeling. Pictures of loved ones. A familiar place. The person may not name the faces, but their eyes will pause. They might smile. That's not memory. That's connection. You can give them objects they once held often. A comb. A worn book. A soft cloth. The scent of lavender. The texture of a page. The body remembers what the mind forgets. On clearer days, when they're present, read a short poem. Count aloud to 5. Say what season it is. Not as a test, but as a shared moment. Let them hear, not what they must know, but that you are there. Even in this fog, the smallest gestures remain, the motion of fingers, a shifting gaze, a line across the forehead. The person is still there. And they feel. Even when they cannot answer. They feel when the room is quiet. When no one corrects them. When someone simply holds their hand. This sign is one of the most delicate. Because it shows, the border is near. But beyond it, too, there is someone. And while they're still here, even in the fog, they still respond to love. Even if no words are spoken. The fifth sign is frequent infections and slow healing of wounds. At first glance, it may seem minor. A bit of a cough. A cold that doesn't go away. A small wound on the hand that hasn't healed in a week. A light fever. But when it starts happening more often, when even a scratch takes a month to close, and colds turn into long-lasting bronchitis, it's no longer a coincidence. It's a signal. The body is no longer keeping up with basic regeneration. The immune system becomes sluggish, like it can't keep pace. The body stops defending itself as actively. All its energy shifts to the most essential functions: breathing, circulation, maintaining warmth. Everything else becomes secondary. A cut that used to heal in 3 days now bleeds for a week. A small bruise takes forever to fade. Skin becomes thinner, more fragile. Bruises appear without any apparent cause. The mouth gets sore, the gums inflamed. These things seem minor, but they're not. It's like a delicate fabric starting to come apart at the seams. Sometimes, the person notices it. Says things like, "I don't recover like I used to," or "This scratch just won't close." But more often, they say nothing. They just cover it up, hide it, hoping the body will quietly manage on its own. It's especially important to notice when infections begin to come in waves: urinary issues, chest infections, oral sores, fungal patches on the skin. These are signs of weakened immunity. And they rarely come alone. one after the other, without full recovery in between. The body can't keep up. What matters most at this stage is not overloading the system. Don't pour medications into an exhausted person. Don't run test after test unless absolutely necessary. The priority now is peace, warmth, and care. Sometimes one extra blanket, a quiet room, and warm tea do more than any long prescription list. Gentle touch helps, a soft cloth, a bit of moisturizer, a calm hand. Things that nourish the skin without demanding effort. Let the body rest. It's no longer in the mode of fighting. It's simply trying to stay whole. When someone is near, without rushing or expecting, healing still happens. Slowly, cautiously, but it happens. And that in itself is a quiet kind of grace. The sixth sign, which completes this picture, is the loss of interest in communication. It doesn't always come with a dramatic silence. Sometimes it's just the absence of questions. The person who once told stories, asked how your day was, joked about small things, now simply sits in their chair, gazing out the window. They don't respond to greetings. Don't join conversations. Visitors come and go, but they stay still. Words become fewer. Sometimes they disappear almost entirely. Instead of answers, a nod, a sigh, a slight movement of the hand. Sometimes not even that. Just a stillness, and the sound of breathing. It's easy to assume they're upset, withdrawn, or hurt. But often the reason is different. The person no longer feels the need to explain themselves. They aren't avoiding you. They just no longer live in dialogue. They live in sensation. Talking takes effort, not just speaking, but listening, processing, replying. And when energy is low, the body chooses what to preserve. It lets go of what's no longer necessary. And for many, that includes words. Silence becomes not emptiness, but a kind of shelter. A space where nothing must be answered, and nothing must be said. Sometimes people interpret this as shutting down. But in many ways, it's the opposite. The person is turning inward. Reflecting. Listening to their own rhythms. Living inside themselves. And for some, that's their way of closing the story. At such times, what matters most is presence, not conversation. Sit beside them. Say nothing. Hold a hand. Offer a blanket. Bring tea, without asking, without explaining. This isn't detachment. It's the deepest kind of closeness, being with someone in a silence that needs nothing. And if, within that silence, they do speak, let it be enough. Don't press. Don't question. Don't draw them back into the world of speech. Just listen. Sometimes a single word, thank you, is all it takes to know, they're still here. Just in another way. We at Elderly Council thank you for spending this time with us in this video. If what we shared today felt meaningful to you, we'd be truly grateful for your support. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future stories. But most importantly, share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us if you've experienced something similar. Or let us know what topics you'd like us to explore in the next videos. For us, this isn't just feedback. It's something deeply important. It helps us feel that we're not speaking into silence, that these subjects matter, that our voice is heard. Your comments, your stories, your suggestions, they give us the reason and the strength to keep going. Thanks to them, we create new materials, raise the topics that often go unspoken, and try to talk about the essential, quietly, sincerely, and from the heart. Thank you for being here with us.